today we are gonna be reacting to some Am I the Asshole Relationship Edition. Am I the asshole for telling my girlfriend she needed to leave my house? I've been seeing someone lately, and she stays over at my place a fair amount. She has plenty going on with her kids and works well in excess of full time. So I try to make my place comfortable and accommodating when she's here. Well, that's actually pretty nice. That's really good. I like this boyfriend perspective. It's really nice when you feel like your partner is overwhelmed to really try and make a comfortable space, a safe space for them to be. I think that's a very good thing in a relationship. So I like that. What a good person. The only stipulation normally is she can't come when I have my kid, which occurs 3 or 4 nights a week. Okay, I feel like by the openness that this person has given, it is pretty fair, I would say, for when they have their own kids at home, maybe to not be able to give that space, especially since the person seems to be needing some more calmness. I feel like it does make a little bit sense here too. And also this person, even though they're in a relationship, like relationships with kids are always a little bit trickier, I feel, to accommodate, to kind of integrate the two separate families into a big family. So I can understand if these people are dating that they also need their own time with their own kids. I feel like at this point, everything makes perfect sense, at least to me. So last night, she comes over and tells me she had promised her daughter she'd be home by midnight. She stays a few hours and we have a nice time. Then it's midnight and I remind her, but she's laying in the bed. She says not yet, and I say I don't want her breaking promises on my account. You know what? I'm just like, you know what? This OP, I like you. I feel like, I mean, it's a good thing. If she promised the daughter, it's really good that you also hold accountable your partner to like, I'm forgetting the word, that you fulfill your promises, and that's nice. It's nice. She feels me to get behind her, like spooning, and I'm like, okay, 5 minutes. This passes and I say, okay now. Then she says her daughter hasn't texted her yet. And I said, I don't care, keep your word. Reasonable once again. I don't want to have anything to do with you breaking promises to kids. She stays put and I say that now I think she's just testing me, and she says she doesn't know what I'm talking about and she's trying to sleep. Okay, this is interesting. I'm irritated and on edge. Like, I'm gonna assume, like, I personally have dealt with empty promises. It's not fun. It's not good. I think you guys will probably agree if someone ever promised you something or like to do something overall and they didn't fulfill it, it's really disappointing. And with time, of course, like things pass, but sometimes like you just hold grudges after those things. And I'm gonna assume, I mean, maybe wrongly, but I could think that maybe OP in this situation might have dealt with some empty promises. And once again, they're seeing, and this is also the thing, the duality of things, they are also seeing their partner promising to something that they don't fulfill. So if OP has dealt in the past with someone promising and not fulfilling, it might be a red flag to them. They're trying to encourage that the partner doesn't do that to their own child, to their daughter, because in a way you can kind of reflect that in your relationship and think, what things will this person also promise me and not fulfill? Because apparently a promise to this girlfriend might not be as important to fulfill, while for OP it might be something that it might be considered a red flag. I certainly can't sleep. I just do a while until midnight 30, at which point I make it clear I'm annoyed and that if I don't think she should be here, she shouldn't be. At which point she does a okay, fine, and immediately gets dressed to leave. We have a discussion, her position being I don't know her family dynamics and I don't need to worry about them. Mine being my feelings about her keeping her promises were valid, even if not reflective of her own dynamics. Exactly, and this is exactly what I was trying to show across, is that even regardless her daughter doesn't care that she doesn't fulfill her promises, which I personally believe, I find that very hard to believe, because I don't think a lot of people are okay with promises being broke. It always creates a little bit of disappointment, but for this person it's really important. It might be perceived as a red flag to see that this person has no problem into promising things and not fulfilling them. And I had to progress to where I told her in a rather rude way to leave. I don't know where we are now, and I don't want to make the first call after the fact. Am I the asshole? I think in this case, guys, you are 100% not the asshole. I want to stick up to my word of what I said throughout the whole post. I think this is a case where, first of all, putting kids first, and this sort of dynamic, you have to put your kids first and then your relationship. Unfortunately, that's how it has to be. I think everyone with kids understands that. I don't have kids of my own, but I understand. I can't understand and sympathize, because kids, minors, can't really take care of themselves. It's important to create strong bonds in a relationship with your kids first, and we can see that OP when they say that they make sure they have the nights with their own kid and themselves. So it is really important, this dynamic with the children. We don't really know the ages, but regardless, your kids for a while, they do come first. And the whole other thing is really the red flag behavior, because yet again, if this partner is used to make what I like to call empty promises, because you're promising something that you won't fulfill, or that you don't really care to fulfill. It's to their child, maybe in their family dynamic, it doesn't really matter. But for OP, it does matter. Therefore, I don't believe that in any sort of way this was asshole behavior. So hopefully they can figure out and maybe talk more about these little details to show that it's not that they just wanted to kick the partner out. It's legitimately because it's important for OP that promises do get fulfilled, and hopefully everything is solved. So yeah, I'm hoping for the best in this situation, but 100% not the asshole. Am I the asshole for wanting my boyfriend to stop base jumping? It's a throwaway account. Okay, we're good. We like a little bit of an anonymous rant. I am 31 female and my boyfriend is 30 male. My boyfriend is a skydiver, but he recently started base jumping. I'm gonna be completely honest, guys. My first thought of this post was not that the boyfriend was gonna be a skydiver and he was like base jumping. I'm not too sure exactly what like base jumping is, but it seems like it's related to skydiving. But what I was thinking is that this boyfriend was like base jumping in the sense of like, first base, second base when it comes to relationships, and so they were trying to be a little more forward. So this is definitely what I was not expecting by that title, so my bad. Okay, let's continue. We are planning on starting a family soon. Oh, that's nice. I've recently learned the statistics about base jumping. Okay, I think we're gonna now learn a little bit more. It's the sport with the highest mortality rate in the world. For example, I don't know. Oh, let's just continue. I don't know about that, guys. Even his own friends told me they all had friends who have died. Oh, this has not like good prospects, really. It really doesn't. Is base jumping that fun that you really need to do something that might kill you? I don't know. Let me know in the comments, guys, if any of you practices base jumping. Then I hope, for God's sake, you stay safe. But yeah, I'd never heard of this sport, but it seems quite intense. Because I love him and want to have kids, I asked him if he could compromise and not base jump and just skydive. This is the thing that comes with relationships, guys. You have to compromise. You have to compromise in a relationship, and if they can't come to a conclusion, I feel like this is a big reason to compromise. You want to start a family, but your partner wants to do a high mortality sport. It just seems, I don't know, it just seems very complicated. I mean, once again, I feel like people should be able to do what they love and they jump. And this guy, in this case, is base jumping, but if they can't compromise, I feel like, once again, the only way would be to go separate ways if base jumping is so important for this partner. So let's continue and see where this is going. I care that he's happy, but I feel really sad that he doesn't care that I'm sad about him potentially dying. And once again, isn't that a reasonable thing to be sad about? I don't think no one wants their partner to die. Like, I feel like even though my partner doesn't do anything like close to be a big mortality rate, there's those times where I'm a little bit like thinking about the future. I'm also like really bad at that. I've had big anxiety about future and death, but you always kind of think how sad it will be if your partner anything ever happens to them. So this is totally like a reasonable feeling, especially when they're doing something like that. I feel like he's not even open to talking about a compromise, and that I don't like. I don't like that statement. In relationships, I feel there's always a point where you have to talk about compromise. And if a person is really not open to compromise, like at all, or at least even talking about it, that's usually the breaking point of relationships. He refuses, saying that it's his passion and that he isn't going to stop and that we might have to break up. Well, I guess then that's his statement. Then that really I think says a lot. I told him that I love that he's adventurous, but base jumping is the most dangerous sport with the highest mortality. He says I'm wrong for not wanting him to do something he's passionate about. Am I the asshole? I once again feel very strongly with not the asshole at all. You are not the asshole. It's just really sad. It's a really sad situation. I feel like this is a very reasonable request from a partner to do in regards to everything I mentioned before and this post mentioned before. It's more than reasonable. If you're thinking about a future with a person, you don't want to lose them. Like, you definitely don't want to lose them. But it does seem that this boyfriend prioritizes his base jumping way more than trying to find a compromise to the relationship. So I think what we have in the text is that base jumping comes first, relationship comes second, because if it was the other way around, I think we would have somewhat of a compromise. And once again, don't get me wrong, it doesn't mean that this person, I'm not saying that the boyfriend is an asshole either, because you have the right to do what makes you happy. But it just seems like here, there's just not gonna be a possible compromise, and there's not an openness to a compromise. So it's not fair to the OP to live with the fact that, and the anxiety that her partner might not come home alive, and they might not fulfill the future that OP wants. But it's also not fair for the partner to just give up on something that they state it's their passion and something so deeply important to them. It just seems like their future vision doesn't match in this situation, and I don't know, hopefully if the love is there and strong, there's like some sort of compromise. But if not, it's understandable that both walk their separate ways and hopefully find the lives that they wish to live. So yeah, not the asshole though, not at all. Am I the asshole for being upset that my boyfriend urinated in my cat's litter box? Big question mark right there, like big extreme question mark. What's going on? Is your boyfriend a cat? Please tell me your boyfriend's like, no, actually don't tell me that, that's worse. Okay, anyways, let's read this story. This might not go here, and I'm sorry if it doesn't, but I need advice and I can't think of a different place. My 24 female boyfriend, 28 male, told me last night that he peed in my cat's litter box a few years ago. A few years ago, so like that's like a long thing. I'm kind of curious to see how this revelation came to be, because isn't that a little bit strange? I don't remember how it came up, but he told me because he thought it was hilarious and clearly thought I'd get a laugh as well. I don't know about that. I really, this is a very interesting post, let me tell you. I wasn't expecting to read something like this, not at all. I can see how it would be funny to other people, but it isn't to me. It's so gross, not only for me having to clean it, but also my poor cat having to walk around in a grown man's piss. For why? He said because he had to pee and he was there. He thought it was hilarious. I don't know. I think there's a little bit of a difference in humor here. I personally wouldn't really find that too funny either, guys. Let me know in the comments, would you find something like this funny or not? Because like people are really different. Like clearly the boyfriend thinks it's like very amusing, but once again, he was not the one having to clean that pee, did he? I don't know if he would find it as funny if he would be the one having to clean his own mess. But this is such a quite interesting, am I the asshole? Am I overreacting? I feel like I'm overreacting and everyone else is gonna think it's so hilarious and I'm just a prude. I mean, I feel like if you feel uncomfortable with the situation, you shouldn't feel like you're overreacting or feeling like, or being afraid how people might judge you. Once again, like, you're the one having to clean it, and if you didn't find it amusing, that's totally fine. Once again, like, we don't have to find the same things funny. So yeah, I feel like it's not an overreaction. It doesn't seem from what I'm reading. But imagine my cat walking on you with her paws having just walked in a man's urine. I mean, is a cat's great? No. But you get my point. It's different and it's definitely mistreatment. Yeah, I guess now putting it that way too, it is quite a little bit gross that your cat would be like walking in the litter with the human urine, so, and then all over yourself. That is kind of weird. I guess I never thought about like cats like going into the a litter box and then walking on you, so that is a little bit gross, not gonna lie. But I understand it. It is a little bit different. I feel like it is. We've been together 6 years. Ooh, that's a long time, girl. And I'm not leaving over this or anything. I'm just really annoyed and disturbed. He also knows I have OCD, okay, about germs and getting sick. And he knew he was doing something that would absolutely wig me out if I knew in the time. I think that's what sucks the most. Okay, reading this last paragraph, it just makes the whole thing disrespectful. Like, it really does. So, completely unfunny in this circumstance because this just changes everything. Your partner suffers from OCD. It's not just a little thing that bothers them. It's an actual disorder, which it needs to be respected, especially by your partner, because you're going to be living with them. You've lived with them for 6 years. And so now thinking that way, it just makes the whole thing really disrespectful. It really does. It really, really does. Because knowing that the person has OCD, especially when it comes to germs, of course this is gonna create like a train of thought like over and over again, especially if this person suffers from I believe it's called rumination. So the permanent thought in their head, it just goes over and over and over again. And it sucks. It really sucks because it causes physical uncomfortable. It just seems like this is just out of nowhere, to be honest. To know that your partner has OCD and to do something like this and still think it's funny. Once again, if it was in any other circumstance, I wouldn't find it funny, but I think like a lot of people might find a prank like that or something funny. But with this last paragraph, it's really out of touch. It's really out of touch. This boyfriend needs to be better. So 100% not the asshole to this girl. It's quite upset. I'm quite upset now after knowing this last bit of information. It's really important to have context in these Am I the Assholes, guys, because yeah, no, not the asshole, and this partner is really out of touch. So I think they need to check themselves a little bit. They definitely do. Am I the asshole for keeping notes on my boyfriend? I, 20 female, don't have the best memory. So when I need to remember something, I'll write it down. Yeah, you know what? I actually, this is really funny because I can understand this. So my partner, my fiance, he does a lot of this too. I know that sometimes he forgets some things, so he'll just write some notes on important like little details to remember. So yeah, okay, seems about right. I personally know a little bit about that. A friend mentioning she has a doctor's appointment and is nervous, I'll write it down to wish her luck or to ask her how it went. You know what? That's awesome. That's awesome. That's perfect. Someone mentioning their birthday is in X days, I'll put it in my calendar. Once again, totally reasonable. I do that and I consider myself to have great memory, but it's just helpful. Someone mentioning how much they want something, I'll write it down so I can get it for their birthday. I actually do this last one too, guys. The first one, not so much. I tend to have a little bit of a easier time remembering close events like that, but definitely if someone mentions anything that they would like to get for birthdays, Christmas, I do try to keep track of that, because that kind of detail is a little bit more of a something that you could forget easily. And once again, I'm not trying to say that you shouldn't take like notes on like something that might be a little bit sensed as more simple for certain people, because a lot of other people might struggle a little bit better to remain that kind of information. So if that's helpful to you, there's no harm in that. It's totally reasonable. It's really helpful to trigger your memory back. It's good. It sounds good to me. I do the same for my boyfriend. Nothing invasive. But if he mentions he likes something, a band, a video game, something he wants to buy, I'll write it down. He was impressed when I remembered to get something for his birthday that he only mentioned once. Quite some time ago, he asked how I remembered, and I told him the truth. He didn't like it at all and told me I shouldn't keep notes on people. Am I wrong for doing this? I don't really know why this would be perceived as something that would make you being considered an asshole, because I feel like overall, you know what? I digress a little bit. So I guess it really depends on the intention, and by what this person is writing here, what OP is writing, it just seems like their intentions are pure. It's purely because they recognize that their memory is not the best, so they do helpful things to cope with the memory not being so great. To just for the pure intention of caring for your friends, caring for your family. Everything that has been mentioned is just purely to be able to support others. And that's great. That's great. It's just that when you personally struggle with something, you always try to make mechanisms to compensate that difficulty, right? If I don't know something, I'm gonna research. If I don't remember something, I'll write it down. So it's just, I think it's really reasonable behavior. Now, if you were keeping notes, as in keeping tabs, being like, on this day we thought about this, you know, and so you would bring it back, like, May 2nd, you said this and this. That I think it's a little bit of a different kind of scenario, which I don't think it's what's happening here. Like, the reason why the boyfriend mentioned to not keep notes on people was because it helped her remember something that he truly wanted for his birthday, which I don't think he has a lot of reasoning to really be upset about that. Now, of course, if you're thinking about the other scenario, that would be probably a little bit of a worse move and probably really toxic for the relationship. But on this situation, it seems like that's not like that at all. So in this situation, I think you're 100% not the asshole, and you keep doing you, boo. So yeah. This will be all for today's video, guys. If you enjoyed this video, you might like this one too. Don't forget to give us a like and subscribe, and I hope to see you all in the next one. Bye bye!